Shalom, everyone. I just want to state right off the bat that I'm not here to promote a so-called works-based salvation. Personally, this is a phrase that I cannot stand, but that should be noted right off the bat. I believe that without the covering of Yahushua's blood, then our garments will be deemed filthy indeed. However, I just simply want to pose the question: did Yahushua die a torturous death in order for us not to be doers of the word? Is it okay for us to live basically according to the maxim of do what thou wilt, which is the maxim promoted by preeminent Satanist Aleister Crowley? Is that okay, or should we be doers of the word to the best of our ability? So I simply want to bring out some verses for you to meditate on and for you to consider. So, in Matthew 4:4, okay, Yahushua says that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. So his entire word should be taken into consideration as to how we are to conduct ourselves, how we are to worship him. Should we keep the commandments? Should we not? I believe that definitely yes. We should be doers of the word to show him that love and respect, which is exactly what he says in the Gospels anyway. Now, I think it is interesting, and I just kind of realized this the other day. Each assembly in Revelation chapter 2 and 3, Yahushua first says, when he addresses each assembly, I know your works. Now, that right there should be a big clue. He is definitely looking at our works. Now, the word works, as it appears in the English here, this corresponds with the Greek word ergon, or E-R-G-O-N. And this is Strong's Concordance 2041. And the definition is toil as an effort or occupation, by implication, an act, doing, labor, or work. Okay. Revelation 22:12. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, to give each according to his work. Okay? Correlation here in the Gospels in Matthew 16:27. For the Son of Adam is going to come in the esteem of his Father with his messengers, and then he shall reward each according to his works. So would it not make sense that you should strive for your works to be in accordance with his word, in accordance with what is written in the Torah, in the Besorah, or the Gospels, as well as Proverbs and Sirach? Now, Sirach is a book that is found in the so-called Apocrypha. It is in the Sefer. I definitely recommend getting a Sefer. Sefer.net, CEPHER.net. This contains all the standard canon plus 22 extra books. Sirach is something that is very similar to Proverbs, except I believe that it is stronger meat. And it may well be my personal favorite in the entire word. Okay, so continuing on in Revelation 22, first he says, my reward is with me to give each according to his work. 2 verses later in Revelation 22:14, it reads, blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates of the city. Now, I don't have the very next verse written down here. However, I can paraphrase it. And to paraphrase, it's, but without are dogs, sorcerers, fornicators or whoremongers, murderers, idolaters, and those who love and make a lie. So there is a very clear distinction made here, right after 22:12, to reward each according to his works. Revelation 22:14 sure sounds to me like if you are living and a doer of if you are living according to the word and you are a doer of the word, doing his commands, then you have the right to the tree of life. Okay, after Revelation 22:14, we've got Matthew 19:17. And he said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Yahuwah. But if you wish to enter into life, guard the commands." Now that's from the mouth of Yahushua, Messiah himself. Revelation chapter 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and he went to make war with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and possessing the witness of Yahushua, Messiah. It doesn't say simply doing, it says guarding the commands. That's the importance of being a doer of the word. Strong correlation in the book of Sirach right here with Revelation 22:14. This is Sirach 19:19. The knowledge of the commandments of Yahuwah is the doctrine of life, and they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Also in Sirach, chapter 16, verse 12. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judges a man according to his works. Sirach 16, verse 14. Make way for every work of mercy, for every man shall find according to his works. James chapter 2. 4 very powerful verses here, I believe. James 2 and verse 14 reads, My brothers, what use is it for anyone to say he has belief but does not have works? This belief is unable to save him. And then in verse 17, so also belief, if it does not have works, is in itself dead. And then in verse 20, but do you wish to know, O foolish man, that the belief without the works is dead? And then in verse 24, you see then that a man is declared right by works and not by belief alone. James chapter 1, verse 22, and become doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Okay, now what does Yahushua have to say about this himself? Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 27. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire or the will of my Father in the Shemayim, or the heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you, you who work lawlessness. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them shall be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rains came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rains came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Now that is a strong backup to what was just read in James 1:22. Because some might say, well, Yahushua himself did not say, and become doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves, as what is written in James 1:22. But here we have Yahushua himself saying this very thing. Now this is a strong passage that I just recently jumped out to me on a recent Shabbat. And it is in 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 5 through 13 reads, "And for this reason, do your utmost to add to your belief uprightness, to uprightness knowledge, to knowledge self-control, to self-control endurance, to endurance reverence, to reverence brotherly affection, and to brotherly affection love. For if these are in you and increase, they cause you to be neither inactive nor without fruit in the knowledge of our Master, Yahuwah Messiah. For he in whom these are not present is blind, being short-sighted, and has forgotten that he has been cleansed from his old sins. For this reason, brothers, all the more, do your utmost to make firm your calling and election. For if you are doing these matters, you shall never stumble at all. For in this way, an entrance into the everlasting reign of our Master and Savior, Yahuwah Messiah, shall be richly supplied to you. And so, I intend to remind you of these matters again and again, though you know them and have been established in the present truth. But I think it is right, as long as I am in this tent, to stir you up by a reminder." Wow, I love that. Okay. Also in 2 Peter, this is something that should always be considered and always be remembered. Every day, in everything that you do. It is easy sometimes to forget because we are carnal in nature. However, that is why we have the Word, so that the Word can be in us. And this is one of those verses right here, also in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 14. "So then, beloved ones, looking forward to this, do your utmost to be found by him in peace, blameless and without spot." Now, what would you do to do your utmost to be found by him in peace, blameless and without spot? Be a doer of the word to the best of your ability. Okay, now here's a strong correlation with what was just read in 2 Peter chapter 1, where it says, it reads, "For if you are doing these matters, you shall never stumble at all. For in this way an entrance into the everlasting reign of our Master and Savior, Yahuwah Messiah, shall be richly supplied to you." Okay, Messiah himself, what does he say? In Luke chapter 13, verses 23 and 24. "And someone said to him, 'Master, are there few being saved?' And he said to them, 'Strive to enter through the narrow gate, because many, I say to you, shall seek to enter and shall not be able.'" That is also a verse, just like in 2 Peter 3:14, that one should always remember, always take to heart, always take heed of, and always consider in everything that you do and say. Again, this is tough. However, that is why we have the Word, to stay in it and to remember these type of verses. Okay, so the Greek word that is associated here, when we see the English word strive here in Luke 13:24, the Greek word associated with that is agonizomai, agonizomai, Strong's Concordance 75. And the definition is to struggle, fight, labor fervently. Now, let's go back to the Apocrypha. Now, this is in the book of 4 Ezra, also known as 2nd Esdras. And this is some amazing prophecy that a good brother and good friend of mine showed me in this book and in others. In fact, he gave me the Sefer, which I'm forever grateful and thankful for. Thank you, Chris. And this is a conversation that is taking place between a messenger and the prophet Ezra. Okay? Now this is in 4 Ezra, chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. And it reads, so basically right here, this is the messenger answering Ezra. And the messenger says to Ezra, verses 1 through 3, and he answered me, saying, El Elyon, or the Most High, has made this world for many, but the world to come for few. I will tell you a similitude, Ezra, as when you ask the earth, it shall say unto you that it gives much mold whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that gold comes of. Even so is the course of this present world. There be many created, but few shall be saved. Okay, now this is a correlation to what was just read in Luke chapter 13, verses 23 and 24. Few shall enter, according to Messiah and according to 4 Ezra right here. Then further on in the book of 4 Ezra, there is a conversation that is taking place between Yahuwah and Ezra. Now this is in chapter 9, verses 3 through 8, and it reads, now this is Yahuwah speaking to Ezra right here. And there's an interesting correlation here in the first verse between Matthew 24 and what is read in this prophecy. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, everybody, that should sound familiar to everybody. Let me start over. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shall you well understand that El Elyon, or the Most High, spoke of those things from the days that were before you, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Even so the times also of El Elyon have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved, and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and see my Yahuwah in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Wow. Okay. Sirach, chapter 6, verse 37. Let your mind be upon the ordinances of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish your heart and give you wisdom, or chokmah is the Hebrew word for wisdom, at your own desire. Psalm 1, verses 1 and 2. Blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and he meditates in his Torah day and night. Wow. Okay, let's talk about the mark of the beast for a second, and the seal of Yahuwah. And let's just consider this. All right. Revelation 13:16. Everyone knows the verse. And he causes all, both small and great, and rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their foreheads. There's a strong correlation with this in the Torah. It is in Exodus, specifically in regards to Pesach or Passover, but there are also some verses in Deuteronomy, and here are they. Deuteronomy chapter 6, 6 through 8. Now, first of all, the Ten Commandments, the so-called Ten Commandments, are reiterated here in Deuteronomy chapter 5 as they were first given in the Bible in Exodus chapter 20. They are reiterated in Deuteronomy chapter 5. And then right after, in the very next chapter, chapter 6, we find these verses. And these words, which I am commanding you today, shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Deuteronomy 6, 6 through 8. Now that right there should be taken to heart, because it is telling us right here that there is a mark on your hand, or in or on your hand, in and on your forehead. Here it reads as frontlets between your eyes. Now, that is your forehead. We are told right here that the mark of Yahuwah is meditating on and doing his commands. Because it says right here, speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. Okay, that is basically the same as what we see in Psalm 1 and 2. His delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and he meditates in his Torah day and night. Okay. Also, Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 18. And you shall lay up these words of mine in your heart and in your being, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Deuteronomy 11 and 18. Now that's a powerful correlation between the mark of the beast and the mark of Yahuwah, or the seal of Yahuwah rather, right here in the Torah. Okay, now let's go back to Revelation, and let's consider a little bit Revelation chapter 14. Back to the mark of the beast. Okay. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 12. And a third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast in his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he also shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, the wrath of Yahuwah, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his wrath. And he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set-apart messengers and before the Lamb. And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, those worshipping the beast in his image. Also, if anyone receives the mark of his name. Then in verse 12, here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua. So very clearly to me right here, the one group that does not receive the mark of the beast are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and have the faith of Yahushua Messiah. Hallelujah. Okay. Very commonly known verse. Almost everyone, believer or not, knows the verse, John 3:16. Let's look at that. For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that everyone who believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Okay? Now, how many people know John 3:36 right off the top of their heads like they may know this one? John 3:36 reads, He who believes in the Son possesses everlasting life, but he who does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim remains on him. Okay? John 7:16. Basically, okay, he who does not obey the Son. What does obeying the Son mean? John 7:16. This is Yahushua speaking. My teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. Also, John 14:24. He who does not love me does not guard my words. And the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. Deuteronomy 18:18. Here's a prophecy of exactly what is being spoken here in the book of John, in the Gospel of John. Deuteronomy 18:18 reads, And I shall raise up for them a prophet like you. He was referring to Moses. Okay, right there. And I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. Now, as far as the importance of being a doer of the word, obviously this is in living in accordance with his commandments, his laws, his statutes, to the best of your ability. And again, this is not always easy because the flesh wars against the spirit and the spirit wars against the flesh. But I just think that there's another verse here out of Sirach which I'd like to bring out. And this This is regarding alms, and alms, the definition of alms is donations, money or food given to help the poor or needy. And here's what the word says about alms in Sirach. Now this is Sirach chapter 29, verses 11 through 13. And this reads, "Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of El Elyon." Let me start over and read that again. Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of El Elyon, or the Most High, and it shall bring you more profit than gold. Shut up alms in your storehouses, and it shall deliver you from all affliction. It shall fight for you against your enemies, better than a mighty shield and a strong spear. Sirach 29, 11 through 13. I bring this out once again for you to meditate on, for the listener to meditate on, and simply consider these matters. Thank you for listening.